Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back in Era Islamic Abrahamic Wisdom. A state can write the finest laws. It can declare justice, equality, and accountability. But if it fails to pay its servants fairly, those laws slowly turn into empty promises. History teaches us something brutal and honest. Unjust salaries destroy loyalty faster than injustice in courts. In the year 15 AH, Hazrat Umar ibn al-Khattab RI confronted a constitutional reality few rulers dared to face. That compensation is not an accounting issue, it is a moral instrument of governance. Through structured stipends, recorded entitlements, and merit-based differentiation, Umar RI transformed payment from personal favor into institutional right. This was not generosity. This was constitutional discipline. Today's episode, based on the research and writings of Mr. Zahir Ahmad Mir, explores Case 27, the Meritocratic Salary Distribution System, a framework that preserved justice, morale, and state stability by something as simple and as powerful as paying people fairly.
Okay, let's dive right in. You know, when we think about payroll, we usually picture spreadsheets, maybe some accounting software, pretty dry stuff. But what if I told you that a payroll system could actually be one of the most powerful tools a government has for building a just and stable society? In this explainer, we're looking at a groundbreaking innovation from the 7th century, drawing on the work of Mr. Zahir Ahmad Mir, that completely rethinks the whole purpose of a salary. And this is the big question at the heart of it all. It asks us to stop thinking about pay as just a number on a ledger and start seeing it as a moral instrument of the state. It suggests that how a government pays its people is absolutely fundamental to its health, its fairness, and its very survival. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. It highlights exactly what's at stake. I mean, think about it. If pay is unfair, you get resentment. If it's arbitrary, you open the door to corruption. And if it's late or doesn't show up at all, well, that can lead to outright rebellion. This is about way more than just money. It's about the entire social contract.
So what was the problem this new system was trying to fix? Well, before this reform, compensation was, frankly, a mess. It was totally chaotic. Stipends were often treated like personal gifts from the ruler, handed out based on your tribal status or, who you knew. And that kind of system creates huge risks for any institution. And these dangers were very, very real. An arbitrary system naturally leads to favoritism, which then sparks jealousy and division. Why did he get that and not me? And when people feel their contributions aren't valued, you see a massive decline in morale. This whole environment becomes a breeding ground for corruption as loyalty shifts to powerful patrons instead of the state. And the final nail in the coffin, a complete and total erosion of public trust. It was obvious, injustice in pay is, at its core, injustice in governance.
Okay, so that was the problem. Now let's look at the incredible principle that was created to solve it. And I mean it. This was a truly radical shift in thinking about the relationship between a person and the state.
And this table just lays it out so clearly. The entire system moved away from the whim of a ruler's personal generosity and toward the reliability of an institutional right. Your pay was no longer a favor that could be given or taken away. It became a right that you earned through your service, all based on a clear set of rules and, crucially, written down in official records.
Right. So the key here is that this wasn't just some vague idea or a nice sentiment. It was a complete, documented system. It was built from the ground up to be structured, to be principled, and to be predictable, tying what a person received directly to what they actually did.
So let's get into the nuts and bolts. How do you actually put a principle like this into action? How do you build a system of merit that people can see, understand, and, most importantly, trust?
Now, what's so fascinating to me about this is what the system ignored. For centuries, your tribe, your wealth, your family name, that was everything. This system deliberately tossed all of that out the window. Merit was now defined by things you could actually measure. Your early commitment and sacrifice, the length and quality of your service, the weight of the responsibility you carried, and the risks you endured.
This quote just perfectly captures the philosophy. See, this wasn't about some flat, one-size-fits-all idea of equality. That doesn't really work in the real world. This was about principled differentiation. It recognized that different contributions have different values, and it aimed to reward them justly, not just equally.
And think about the human impact of this. For the average person, this was life-changing. By making sure pay was regular and predictable, it took away that constant anxiety of financial uncertainty. People knew when they would get paid and how much it would be. It allowed them to actually plan their lives with a sense of security and dignity.
But this system did more than just ensure fairness. It was also an incredibly powerful anti-corruption framework. And the genius of it was that it didn't just punish bad behavior, it was designed to make corruption almost impossible in the first place.
Here's how it worked. It's like a brilliant three-step process. First, you make all pay based on clear, documented rules. That removes personal discretion. When there's no discretion, what happens? Well, bribes and personal influence suddenly become worthless. And when that happens, loyalty naturally shifts away from powerful individuals and toward the institution itself. It's anti-corruption by design.
Now, this system wasn't just an idea floating in the air. It was anchored by the state's core financial institutions. You had the military registry tracking everyone's service, the revenue department making sure the money was actually there, and the state treasury managing it all. This whole setup ensured the system was sustainable. The state knew its obligations and made sure it had the revenue to meet them.
I absolutely love this line. Paperwork was justice in quiet form. Because we think of paperwork as boring, right? But in this system, every single payment left a record. It created a paper trail. That trail meant you could have audits, you could settle disputes fairly, and you could build real public trust. That simple act of writing things down was a quiet but incredibly powerful form of justice.
So you might be thinking, okay, that's fascinating history, but why does a 1,400-year-old administrative reform matter to us today? Well, as it turns out, the lessons here are unbelievably relevant for any government or any company trying to be fair and effective right now.
What was happening here was a profound ethical leap forward. In most societies at the time, your income was directly tied to your personal loyalty to the ruler. This system broke that link. It separated salary from obedience and reward from favoritism. It established the principle that your pay is a right you earn through service, not a tool to keep you in line. That is a core pillar of modern, ethical public service.
And here it is, a 5-point playbook that's just as powerful today. First, define what merit actually means in your organization. Be clear. Second, keep objective records. Third, pay people predictably and on time. Fourth, make sure any differences in pay are based on fair principles. And finally, constantly audit the system to keep it honest. These are truly timeless pillars for building trust and effectiveness.
Ultimately, what all of this shows us is that something as seemingly boring as a payroll system is actually a pillar of constitutional order. It's not just an administrative task. How we handle compensation really does shape the soul of our institutions and reflects our deepest values about what is right and what is fair.
And that's the big takeaway we want to leave you with. The search for a just society isn't something that only happens in big, fancy courtrooms or in complex legal books. It's also found in the quiet, meticulous, and absolutely essential work of making sure every single person is compensated fairly for what they do. That's where justice really comes to life.